I held her under the water longer than I meant to. I panicked when she started thrashing. Then her arms went still and I kept pressing down. When I let go, the current carried her away. I waited for her body to be discovered and a manhunt to track me down. I couldn't sleep. I went back to the river a few times in the weeks after it happened, and it was weird not seeing her in class anymore. The town thinks it was an accidental drowning. They light candles every year in her memory and hold a vigil at the river, at the spot where it happened. I go and stand in the crowd, wishing she was still here. I buried him shallow just under the tall grass at the edge of the field. The dirt never sat quite right, and I told myself the rain would even it out. I thought he was hidden enough, but every season the field changes. Flowers grow, the grass rises and falls, and still I feel his presence there. It's like the earth won't let me forget. Every time I drive past, I swear I see shapes in the grass bending toward me. In my dreams, I dig him back up to give him the burial he deserves. But it's too late. He's part of the field now. And only I know where he lays. We dared each other to burn down the abandoned house down the end of our street. I wanted to impress my friends, so I struck the match and threw it onto the porch where we poured some gasoline. The house went up faster than I thought, and smoke poured up into the night sky. We thought the house was empty because it was abandoned years ago and overgrown. But then we heard screaming. I'll never forget that sound. We ran as fast as we could into the forest beside the house. By the time the fire trucks arrived, it was too late. The house was gone. So were they. He mouthed off to me. A stranger on the street, just a random drunk guy who had had too much to drink. I should have walked away, but I don't know what happened. I followed him. He took a shortcut down an alley, and I knew it was going to be my only opportunity to teach him a lesson and get away with it. As he staggered and stumbled his way into the darkness, away from the security of the streetlights, I came up behind him. He didn't even know I was there. I struck him before I knew what I was doing. He let out a muffled moan and fell. The thud of his head against the wall still echoes inside me. When he slumped to the ground, I knew I'd gone too far. He wasn't moving, just breathing fast and shallow, while blood trickled from his head and was forming a dark pool around him. I ran away and left him there, in the dark. I waited for days, then weeks, then months, but the local news never mentioned it. Maybe he lived, maybe he didn't. I don't know. I never told anyone. I can't. But I'll always know that I can never take back what I've done. That one single moment of rage which has become a life sentence of shame, I will never be able to escape. It started small. A rounding error here, a shift of a decimal there. Nobody questioned it. Why would they? I was the quiet and unassuming one, the reliable one, the kind of person everyone overlooks and nobody notices, the one who blends into the background. The invisibility was my weapon, and I learned to use it. That first time I skimmed money, it was almost laughable how easy it was. I told myself I'd stop after one try, or maybe two, but of course I didn't. $1 became hundreds, then thousands. Before long, I was living the life I knew I deserved. Vacations, cars, a house that actually reflected my worth. I never saw it as theft. It was correction, compensation. They didn't pay me what I was owed, so I took it myself. While I was focused on hiding my own misappropriations of funds and maintaining the lies and deception, a senior executive had also been defrauding the company himself of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thankfully for me, I was careful, calculated, and diligent with hiding my crimes. He wasn't. He was sloppy, so when he went too far and his greed was discovered, it quickly all came crashing down. When the company collapsed and workers lost their jobs and their homes, it was their problem, not mine. The executive took the fall and lost everything. I walked away untouched. People like to imagine criminals are haunted by guilt. Not me. I don't lose sleep. Corporations chew people up every day. I just took my share before the machine broke down. I'm not ashamed of what I did. I was smarter, and I won. I truly didn't see him until it was too late. It was late and dark, and I'd had a few drinks after work, so decided to play it safe and stay off the highway by taking some back roads home. My phone lit up in the passenger seat as a message came through. I swear I only looked at it for a few seconds to read the message, but when I looked up, he was already in my headlights. I braked as hard as I could, but it was too late. The impact shook through the car. It was way louder than you could ever imagine a human body could sound. I froze. My hands were gripped to the wheel. I couldn't breathe. I looked in the rearview mirror and could see a motionless body in the red glow of my taillights. I should have put the car in park and got out to check on him. I should have called 911. But I freaked out. Instead of being a decent person and helped him, I pressed the gas as hard as I could. I left him there, in the middle of the road. The police called it a hit and run. They never found me. It was a nice, warm, and sunny early spring day. That first magical day that signals the changing of the seasons. She wanted to see outside, so I set her on the windowsill. I held her tight so she would be safe. She was laughing and kicking her legs. It was so fun. Then someone downstairs called my name. Without thinking, I let go and turned to reply. By the time I heard the scream, it was too late. Everyone called it a terrible accident at the time, and they still do. It was me who lifted her up to the window. Me who let go of her. Me who turned my back. Me who took my eyes off her for just a second. And I've never admitted it to anyone. I was just a kid when I wrote that first letter. She was everything to me, the one bright thing I clung to when the rest of my world felt so small. I believed every word I scribbled mattered, that maybe she would see me and care. When the first reply came, I thought my life had changed. She wrote back. She knew my name. For months I lived for those letters. I carried them everywhere. I even slept with them under my pillow. But then one night I found the box in the kitchen. My envelopes, my words, and the replies, all in my mother's handwriting. She had been the one all along. My heart broke in an instant. The betrayal burned so deep I couldn't breathe. I snapped. I don't remember everything from that night. Just anger, shouting, and the sound of something hitting the floor and cracking. When it was over, she was gone, and I was left with silence I can't ever forget. I was a juvenile at the time, so I was never charged with killing my own mother. It was late at night, maybe 3 a.m. Me and my friend were cruising around the back streets in our cars. We were driving fast and being silly, but the roads were quiet and nobody was around, so it was fine. And a lot of fun. On the road out of town, there's a train crossing around a half-mile from a set of traffic lights. So we decided to see who could reach the crossing first. He pulled ahead first. He was always faster off the line than me. I slammed into second gear, then third gear, and suddenly I was ahead by 1 or 2 car lengths. From the corner of my eye, I saw a light heading toward the crossing, but the lights at the crossing weren't flashing. So it couldn't have possibly been a train coming. The light kept moving toward us, and yeah, it was actually a train. But now it was too late to brake and pull up. I would have slammed straight into the side of it. So I kept my foot on the accelerator pedal and just prayed. The train's horn was deafening, and I made it across just moments before the train sped past. I forgot about my friend, though, a couple car lengths behind me. I heard the crash. Steel smashing into steel and glass shattering. Then it was drowned out by the loud screeching of the train's emergency brakes. Then complete silence. I slammed on my brakes and skidded to a stop. I didn't know what to do. Was he okay? Was he even alive? I didn't see how he could be. I should have got out of my car and gone back to check on him, but I freaked out and got out of there as fast as I could before any witnesses on the train could see my car and registration plate. The police investigation proved he was racing, but against the train, not another car. I never told anyone, and the guilt eats me up every day. He deserved to be treated a lesson. He had humiliated and bullied me every day at work since I started. For once, I wanted him to feel small, the way he'd made me feel. It started as a fantasy, but quickly became a plan. Putting something in his beer at after-work drinks one night. Nothing serious, just enough to make him suffer a little bit. We headed to the local pub the next Friday evening after a long week of work. It was getting late and I was running out of time to do anything. But then a few of the guys went out for a cigarette and I was left at the table alone for a few minutes. I slipped something into his beer. I bought it off the dark web. I didn't know how fast these things take, but I watched and waited. He didn't just get sick. He collapsed at the table, and everything after that happened so fast. Sirens, frantic faces, a hospital bed. They told me it was a miracle he survived. A few of us from the office visited him at home after he was discharged. The pauses in his speech, the tremble in his hands, the memory loss. That's when it truly hit me. What I had done. It was only meant to be a lesson.